4 terrifying, true pandemic horror stories. The world has faced countless scourges, but none possess the insidious, unseen terror of a pandemic. It's a predator that stalks not just the vulnerable, but every single soul, lurking in a handshake, a breath, a fleeting touch. While fiction spins tales of apocalyptic viruses and zombie outbreaks, the true horror lies in what has already happened, what is happening. The real stories are often far more disturbing, precisely because they are tethered to our own fragile reality. Imagine a world where the air itself feels like a threat, where loved ones become potential vectors, and the simple act of stepping outside transforms into a gamble with fate. These aren't hypothetical scenarios. They are the lived experiences of millions. Beyond the physical ravages of disease, there's another, deeper infection, the creeping dread that seizes the mind. It's the fear of the unknown, the isolation, the shattering of normalcy, and the agonizing decisions forced upon ordinary people. In the darkest corners of these global crises, individual struggles unfold, tales of survival, sacrifice, and the chilling realization of just how thin the veneer of civilization can be when confronted with an invisible enemy. Our first journey into the abyss takes us to a bustling metropolis, abruptly silenced. It's the story of Dr. Elena Petrova, a frontline medic whose oath would be tested beyond all human endurance. The initial reports were vague, dismissive even, a distant whisper of a new flu strain. But Elena, working exhausting shifts in the city's largest emergency room, felt the tremor long before the earthquake hit. She remembers the day clearly. A young man, barely coherent, eyes wide with a terror that wasn't just feverish delirium, but something primal. He spoke of a shadow, a persistent, suffocating weight in his chest. Soon, others arrived with similar unsettling symptoms, a cough that ripped through their lungs, a strange discoloration of the skin, and an alarming rapidity with which they succumbed, sometimes within hours. The contagion was fast, brutal, and utterly without mercy. The hospital transformed from a sanctuary into a war zone, then into something far more chilling, a sealed tomb. Resources dwindled, staff vanished, and the only sound became the rhythmic, desperate gasp of ventilators. Elena found herself increasingly alone, surrounded with the dying. One night, as the power flickered and the city outside plunged into an eerie silence, Elena heard a distinct scratching from the other side of a quarantine door, a sound that no living patient could have made. Our next chilling account plunges us into the quiet desolation of a remote farming community, where the plague manifested not through crowded hospitals, but through a terrifying, slow unraveling of trust and community. For farmer Thomas Blackwood, the pandemic wasn't a distant city problem until his wife, a robust woman who rarely fell ill, began to exhibit peculiar symptoms, not typical flu, but a creeping lethargy, followed by disturbing, vivid nightmares. Then the animals started dying. First the chickens, then his prized dairy cows, inexplicably collapsing, their eyes wide and glazed, as if frozen in a moment of pure terror. A sickening suspicion began to curdle in Thomas's mind. Was it the air, the water, Or had the blight found a more intimate, more sinister pathway into their isolated valley? Something far worse than just a human virus. He remembered the warnings from town, vague public service announcements about safe practices, but they felt miles away. Now, looking at his ailing wife and the silent, growing graveyard of his livestock, he knew he had to make an impossible choice. Flee and risk spreading whatever horror this was, or stay and face it alone. The silence of the valley, once a comfort, became a suffocating blanket. Whispers of other families falling ill, of deserted homesteads, began to drift through the infrequent radio broadcasts. The pandemic wasn't just killing, it was isolating, turning neighbors into ghosts. One morning, Thomas found a small, exquisitely carved wooden bird outside his back door, a gift from Old Man Peterson, who lived 3 miles down the road. It was an old custom, a sign of goodwill. But Peterson hadn't been seen in days, and Thomas felt a cold dread as he noticed something else, a small, dark stain on the bird's wing. Our third nightmare unfolds in the high-stakes, ethically complex world of virology research, where the very attempt to understand and combat the pandemic unleashed a different kind of terror. Dr. Eris Thorne, a brilliant but notoriously reclusive virologist, found himself locked in his state-of-the-art laboratory, not by choice, but by necessity. He believed he was close to a breakthrough, but the virus inside his containment unit was evolving, becoming something sentient.